Welcome to this Carbon Mods mold making tutorial. In this guide we're going to show you how you can take an existing part or a pattern and create a mold that you can then go on to use for carbon fibre lamination or even just fiberglass. Let's take a look at what you get in the kit. The mold making putty and the hardener to go with. Get a gel coat, which is your first layer there, and a hardener to go with it. Get mold release wax and PVA. Mixing cups and sticks. These are the items that you're going to need. Obviously, the component that you're going to be pulling the mould off, in this case we've got a small engine cover component, some plasticine, and a good baseboard that we can work on top of.
So, first thing you want to do is take a look at your part and work out where you want to put barriers. Basically, you want to be able to extend the surface of the part all the way around. This part's got a flat base on it, so we can put it down onto a baseboard. That'll make a flange around the side. We just need to extend down the side there with a little bit of modelling clay. So apply that, just standard stuff available from most toy stores I'm sure. Stick it onto the back, nice thick barrier, and then we'll be applying this down onto the board. Work it all the way around, make sure you've got a decent overlap because we're going to go over it now with a knife and cut it flat and smooth so you've got a crisp clean edge, because this will all be on the face of your mould. Seal the part down as we're putting it onto a baseboard. We're just going to put a little bead of the modelling clay around the bottom edge, and then we're just going to press it down onto the board, and that'll mean that any gel coat that we apply doesn't run underneath it and give us a mechanical lock. Again, once it's pressed down, we're going to trim around it, get a nice clean edge with a knife, and that way the mould will be really neat and easy to clean and work with. So now we're going to wax the part. You can wax the part a few times before you start this process, but you really need to do a few hits once it's on its board, because you will have knocked some bits of the wax off. So work all the way around, really focus on the flanges, the main area of the part. You want to do probably 5 to be on the safe side waxes. You're leaving it 5 minutes between each one, buffing it off and reapplying it. Then once you've done this, you're going to apply a PVA. This really ensures that you're not going to have any problems with the part sticking into your mould. So a nice thin even coat all over the surface. Just wipe it on and leave it to dry. Normally takes around about 20 minutes. Depends on the temperature obviously. Just give it a quick touch test. Basically, if it's dry, it's ready to go and you can add a coat onto it. We're going to mix up the gel coat now. You want to try and gauge enough gel coat to put a good thick coat over the surface of the part, like a thick paint really. So pour out as much as you need, and then you're going to be putting into the hardener. The hardener with the gel coat is at 10%. You want to be quick with the way you measure it, and then you want to mix it really quite thoroughly. So when you're mixing though, try not to sort of whip it up too vigorously, because you'll get little air bubbles in the gel, and that isn't great for the surface of the mould. So just sort of gradually stir it in. I'd really recommend spending 2 or 3 minutes doing it, making sure it's scraped all from the side of the pot, and then you can take the gel coat and apply it to the part. Brush the gel coat down as thickly as it'll go without it sort of wanting to run off and sag off the part. Thicker it is, the more you will have to sand and polish into on the final part, and the more durable generally the moulds are within reason. So a good thick coat, making sure it's all over your flanges and really into any nooks and crannies on your mould.
Right, now that you've left your part for approximately 3 hours, depending on your room temperature, basically you're looking for it to get to the point where you've still got a tacky, sticky surface to the gel, but it's basically gone hard. And then what you're going to be doing now is applying the putty onto the back of that, which is a reinforcement. It's quite an interesting material. It's got all of the fibre and the reinforcement already in there, and you're mixing it just by hand into a dough, essentially, and applying that onto the back of the gel coat.
To mix it up, again, gauge how much you're going to need. Over the part, you're looking for around about sort of 10 or 15 mil, half an inch or so. We use a plastic sheet here underneath it, keeps the process clean, and it's a good surface to work on. You can throw it away when you're done. Much like baking a cake, putting an egg in, just sort of gradually mix it together and then knead it into a nice consistent dough. As soon as it's the colour's nice and even all the way through, it's ready to be put down on the part. Put it down, flatten it out onto a piece of paper, flatten it out onto your plastic, and then about the right size for the part. Pick it up and drop it over, pressing it down over the surface, really focusing into any sort of corners and edges because you don't want any air voids underneath it. But it's pretty straightforward. Pat it down, neaten it up, and let it harden.
Once your part's fully hardened, all the backing's really solid, and normally at least overnight, 24 hours is ideal, should be ready for the release. So we're going to go for it on this one. What you want to do is get underneath the part and pull it away from your baseboard. Like so. And then remove any of your plasticine barriers.
Check when the gel hasn't bled underneath the part. Basically, the biggest problem you normally get with release is mechanical lock, where the mould sort of bled underneath it. So clean up around the edges. You can even just go in with a scraper and release just the corners. Then give it a good yank, and theory is it'll come out of the mould. Then it's just a case of giving it a trim up, sanding the edges back smooth, and going on and polishing it and prepping it for release of parts. Dead easy with standard tools, just to sand and shape it and smoothen all the edges off, so it's a nice mould to work with.
We've taken the mould now, we've removed all of the sort of excess around the edges, we've softened it all off, smoothed it all off, it's nice to handle, hard, solid mould. It's just a case now of doing the final stages, a little bit of fettling and polishing up, and getting it ready to pull parts from.
You can remove any burrs and sharp edges with fine sandpaper and go through the grits to sort of 1200 grit ideally, and then use polishing compounds and paste if it needs an extra polish and you want a high gloss part, and just buff all the way over the surface, and then it'll be ready for the preparation, a wax and PVA, and ready to take parts from. For information on that, check out some of our other videos or our website.